The Vraxian Empire had been conquering worlds for over a century. Their massive ships, shaped like pointed daggers, moved through space with terrible purpose. They had already taken over 27 planets and showed no signs of stopping. Their leaders wanted more land, more resources, and more slaves. The Nilari were different. They lived on a beautiful blue-green world called Nilar, with 3 small moons that glowed softly in their night sky. They were peaceful people who valued art, science, and harmony. Their blue skin shimmered in the light, and their 4-fingered hands created wonders of technology and beauty. They had never built weapons of war. They believed in talking through problems. This made them perfect targets for the Vraxians. When the Vraxian ships first appeared in Nilari space, the leaders of Nilar sent messages of welcome and friendship. The Vraxians sent back demands for surrender. "We must find help," said Elder Moon in the Great Council Chamber of Nilar City. The room was filled with worried faces. Through the crystal dome above, they could see the dark shapes of Vraxian ships blocking the stars. "Who would stand against the Vraxians?" asked Council Member Rain. "All nearby worlds have either been conquered or are too afraid to fight." Ambassador Jay stood up. He was younger than most council members, with determination in his eyes. "The humans might help us." The chamber went quiet. Humans were known to exist, but they had kept to themselves for generations. Few Nilari had ever seen one. Humans had a reputation for being unpredictable and potentially dangerous, though no one could say exactly why. "The humans have never joined any galactic alliance," Elder Moon said. "Why would they help us now?" "Because they value freedom," Jay replied. "And because they have the strength to face the Vraxians. I've studied their history. They understand fighting against those who would take freedom away." After much debate, the council agreed. With the Vraxian blockade tightening around their planet, they had few options left. That night, Jay prepared to leave on the most important mission of his life. His small ship was disguised as a supply vessel. His wife, Lynn, helped him pack. "You must return to me," Lynn said, touching his face gently. Their daughter Sora slept nearby, unaware that her future depended on her father's dangerous mission. "I will," Jay promised. With help. Getting through the blockade was the first challenge. Jai piloted his ship through a narrow gap in the Vraxian patrol pattern. His heart pounded as a massive enemy cruiser passed above him. So close he could see the weapons on its hull. But the small ship's stealth systems worked, and soon he was racing toward Earth, following old star charts and rumors. On the Vraxian command ship, High Commander Dorn received reports of the Nilari vessel's escape. "Should we pursue, Commander?" asked his second-in-command. Dorn waved a clawed hand dismissively. "One small ship is nothing. Where can they go? No one will stand against us." He turned back to the holographic display showing the Nilari planet. "Prepare the ground troops. We begin landing in 3 days." After a difficult journey through unknown space, Jay finally reached the Sol system. Earth appeared as a blue marble in the distance, surrounded by defense satellites and patrol ships. "Unidentified vessel, state your purpose," came a stern voice over his communication system. "I am Ambassador Jay of Nilar," he replied. "I seek urgent help from the humans. The Vraxian Empire is about to destroy my world." There was a long pause. Then, "Proceed to Luna Station. Coordinates are being transmitted now." The human base on their moon was larger than Jay had imagined. His ship was guided to a docking bay where he was met by armed guards. They didn't seem hostile, but they were clearly cautious. "Follow me, Ambassador," said one guard. "The Defense Council will see you immediately." Jay was led through corridors filled with busy humans. They looked similar to Nilari, but with various skin colors instead of blue and 5 fingers instead of 4. They watched him with curiosity as he passed. The Human Defense Council met in a circular room with a large table. 7 humans sat waiting for him. At the head of the table was Admiral Kim, a man with gray hair and eyes that seemed to see everything. "Ambassador Jay," he said, standing to greet him. "We've heard reports of Vraxian expansion. Tell us about your situation. Jay connected his data device to their system. A holographic display appeared, showing the Vraxian fleet surrounding his homeworld. My people face extinction, Jay explained. The Vraxians will not negotiate. They have given us 3 days before they begin their ground assault. We are scholars and artists, not warriors. We cannot fight them alone. Director Park, a woman with a serious face and silver hair, studied the display carefully. The Vraxians have advanced weapons, but their tactics are predictable. They rely on numbers, not strategy. Why come to Earth? Asked another council member. We have kept to ourselves for generations. Because humans understand fighting for what matters, Jay said. And because you are the only ones with technology advanced enough to challenge the Vraxians. Admiral Kim and Director Park exchanged looks. What do you know of our technology, Ambassador? Only rumors, Jay admitted. But they say human ships can appear and disappear at will, that your weapons can disable rather than destroy, that you value life, even in war. The room fell silent as the humans considered his words. Finally, Admiral Kim stood. The Vraxians must be stopped. If they conquer your world, they will only grow stronger and eventually threaten Earth as well. He turned to the council. I propose we send the Third Fleet. Director Park nodded. I agree. This is the right moment to show the galaxy that Earth stands for freedom. One by one, the other council members voted. All agreed to help. Jay felt hope for the first time in weeks. Thank you, he said, his voice breaking with emotion. My people will never forget this. As preparations began, Admiral Kim showed Jay the human fleet. Ships larger than anything the Nilari had ever built were being readied for battle. Crews moved with purpose, loading supplies and checking systems. We can reach your world in 2 days using our jump drives, Kim explained. That gives us time to arrive before the Vraxian ground assault begins. On the bridge of the flagship Resolute, Officer Han was reviewing tactical information when Admiral Kim arrived with Jay. Officer Han, meet Ambassador Jay of Naylor, Kim said. He'll be joining us on the mission. Han bowed slightly. An honor, Ambassador. Don't worry, we've faced worse odds than this. Meanwhile, on the Vraxian command ship, an intelligence officer approached High Commander Dorn with new information. Commander, we've detected unusual energy signatures at the edge of this system. Our long-range scouts report possible human vessels moving in this direction. Dorn laughed, his sharp teeth gleaming. Humans. They have never fought beyond their own solar system. Their ships are untested in real war. He dismissed the officer with a wave. Continue with the invasion plans. If the humans come, they will learn why the Vraxian Empire is feared across the galaxy. As the human fleet prepared to depart Earth, Jay sent one message home to his wife. Help is coming. Hold on. The fate of an entire civilization now rested in the hands of humans who had never before involved themselves in galactic conflicts. The stage was set for a confrontation that would change the course of history for both worlds. The human fleet moved through space with silent purpose. 30 warships arranged in perfect formation, their hulls gleaming under the distant starlight. Each ship had been built with technology that most species in the galaxy had never seen before. Admiral Kim stood on the bridge of the Resolute, watching the stars streak by as they traveled faster than light. The view screen showed their destination still 12 hours away. Status report, he said calmly. Officer Han looked up from his console. All ships maintaining formation, Admiral. Engines operating at optimal capacity. Weapons and defense systems fully charged. Kim nodded, satisfied. He had commanded the Third Fleet for 7 years, but this would be their first real combat mission beyond human space. The crew was ready, but something still troubled him. Show me the Vraxian fleet positions again, he requested. A holographic display appeared, showing the enemy ships clustered around the blue-green planet of Naylor. Red dots represented Vraxian vessels, nearly 150 of them. Ambassador Jay stood nearby, his blue skin pale with worry as he looked at his surrounded homeworld. "Can your ships really defeat so many?" Jay asked quietly. Kim smiled slightly. "Numbers aren't everything in battle, Ambassador. Let me show you something." He led Jay to a different part of the bridge and activated a private display. It showed detailed schematics of the human ships. "For centuries, humans fought each other," Kim explained. "We nearly destroyed ourselves. When we finally made peace and looked to the stars, we promised never to repeat those mistakes, but we also never forgot what we learned." The display changed to show the Resolute's engine system. "This is a quantum displacement drive," Kim continued. "It doesn't just move through space, it can temporarily exist in multiple points in space at once." Jay's eyes widened. "That's impossible." "We thought so too, once. Chief Engineer Lee, please join us." A woman with focused eyes and short gray hair approached. "Chief Lee developed this technology 15 years ago," Kim said. "She can explain it better than I can." Lee nodded at the ambassador. "Traditional engines push against space. Ours slips between the spaces of space itself. We can appear and disappear at will, jumping instantly to any position within range." The display changed again to show the ship's defensive systems. "And these are our phase-shifted shields," Lee continued. "Normal shields try to block energy. Ours shifts it into another dimension entirely." Judd looked amazed. "Why have you kept these advancements secret from the galaxy?" Admiral Kim's expression became serious. "We weren't ready to share them. Humans have a complicated history with power. We wanted to be sure we had the wisdom to use these technologies properly before revealing them." Officer Han called from his station. "Admiral, we're receiving a transmission from Earth. Director Park wishes to speak with you." Kim excused himself and went to his private communication room. Director Park's face appeared on the screen, her expression grave. "Admiral, we've received new intelligence on the Vraxians," she said without greeting. "Their fleet at Naylor is larger than we initially believed. They've called in reinforcements from nearby systems." Kim remained calm. "How many ships are we facing now?" "Approximately 200, almost 7 times our number." "It doesn't change our approach," Kim replied after a moment. "Our technology gives us the advantage, regardless of their numbers." Director Park studied him. "The Council is concerned about revealing the full extent of our capabilities. Some members suggest we should only use our basic weapons to preserve our technological secrets." Kim shook his head firmly. "With respect, Director, if we commit to this mission, we should use every advantage we have. The Nilari are facing extinction. Half measures would be a betrayal of our promise to help them." After a long pause, Director Park nodded. "The President agrees with you. You have authorization to use all systems as needed. Good luck." "Admiral." Back on the bridge, Lieutenant Sung approached Kim with a tablet displaying combat simulations. "Sir, I've analyzed the Vraxian battle tactics from their previous conquests," Sung reported. "They always follow the same pattern. First, they surround. Then, they attack in waves, starting with heavy bombardment from their larger ships." "Predictable," Kim commented. "That's good for us." Sung continued. "They've never faced an enemy that could disappear and reappear at will. I believe we can use their rigid tactics against them." Kim studied the simulation, watching as virtual human ships appeared inside the Vraxian formation, causing confusion and chaos. "Program this into all ships' tactical systems," he ordered, "and prepare the drone swarms for deployment." As the human fleet continued its journey, the crew prepared for battle. In the weapons control room, technicians checked the quantum disruption cannons, weapons designed to disable rather than destroy. "These will target their engines and weapons systems only," explained the weapons officer to a group of crew members. "Our goal is to stop the Vraxians with minimal loss of life." In another part of the ship, Special Teams Commander G briefed his squad. "If we need to board Vraxian vessels, remember their atmospheric pressure is higher than ours. Your suits will compensate, but movements will feel slightly slower. Meanwhile, Aboard the Vraxian command ship, High Commander Dorn received troubling news. "Commander, our long-range scanners have lost track of the human fleet," reported a nervous officer. Dorn slammed his fist on his armrest. "Impossible. 30 ships don't simply vanish. Their technology may be more advanced than our intelligence suggested," said his second-in-command cautiously. Dorn growled, showing sharp teeth. "It doesn't matter. Our fleet is invincible. Position all ships in Fang formation. We will crush these humans quickly and return to the conquest of Nilar." The Vraxian ships began to move, arranging themselves in a pattern designed to trap and destroy enemies between overwhelming firepower. It was a formation that had brought them victory in 17 previous battles. Back on the Resolute, Ambassador Jay stood by a viewport, watching the stars blur past. "My daughter asked me once what humans were like," he said quietly to Admiral Kim, who had joined him. "I told her I didn't know, that humans kept to themselves." "And now?" Kim asked. "Now I will tell her that humans are people who help others in need, even when it's dangerous." Jay turned to face Kim. "Why did you agree to help us? Really?" Kim was silent for a moment. "Long ago, before we united as one people, many human nations stood by while others were conquered or destroyed. We promised never to make that mistake again." He looked out at the stars. "And perhaps it's time we took a more active role in the galaxy." The ship's alert system suddenly chimed. Officer Han's voice came over the communication system. "Admiral, we're approaching Nilari space. Vraxian fleet detected ahead. All hands to battle stations," Kim ordered calmly. "Prepare for quantum jump on my command." Throughout the human fleet, crews moved with practiced efficiency, weapons powered up, shield systems activated, jump drives prepared to engage. On the Nilari homeworld below, millions of blue-skinned people looked up at their dark sky, now filled with the threatening shapes of Vraxian warships. They did not know that hope was about to arrive. "Jump drives ready, Admiral," reported Officer Han. Kim nodded. "Send one final message to the Vraxians. Offer them the chance to withdraw peacefully." The message was sent. The response came quickly. "The humans demand our withdrawal." High Commander Dorn laughed. "Prepare all weapons. Show them the might of the Vraxian Empire." Admiral Kim received the Vraxian response and shook his head slightly. "They've chosen their path," he said. "All ships, execute quantum jump pattern Alpha. Engage." In an instant, the entire human fleet vanished from normal space, preparing to reappear where the Vraxians least expected them, inside their own formation. The true test of human technology was about to begin. The human fleet appeared at the edge of the Nilari system, a formation of sleek warships against the backdrop of distant stars. From the bridge of the Resolute, Admiral Kim observed the Vraxian armada surrounding the blue-green planet of Nilar. Their ships were numerous, dark shapes against the planet's glow. "Count confirmed, sir," Officer Han reported. 198 Vraxian vessels in standard attack formation around the planet. Their main battleships are positioned here. He indicated several large red dots on the tactical display. Ambassador Jay stood nearby, his hands trembling slightly as he viewed his besieged homeworld. "My people are down there," he said quietly. "Millions of them." Admiral Kim placed a reassuring hand on the ambassador's shoulder. "And they will remain safe." Officer Han, open a communication channel to the Vraxian command ship. "Channel open, sir." The main view screen flickered, then revealed the face of High Commander Dorn. The Vraxian's scaled skin was a dark purple, his eyes yellow with vertical pupils. Behind him, other Vraxians moved about on their bridge. "So the rumors are true," Dorn said, his voice deep and harsh. "Humans have decided to interfere in matters that don't concern them." Admiral Kim stepped forward. "High Commander Dorn, I am Admiral Kim of the Earth Defense Fleet. We are here on behalf of the Nilari people who have requested our assistance." Dorn made a sound that might have been a laugh. 27 ships against our armada. The Nilari must be desperate indeed to pin their hopes on such a small force. I'm offering you one opportunity to withdraw your forces peacefully. Kim continued calmly. The Nilari are a peaceful species who pose no threat to your empire. There is no need for conquest here. The Vraxian commander's yellow eyes narrowed. The Vraxian Empire does not withdraw. The strong conquer, the weak submit. This is the way of the universe. He leaned closer to the screen. I will give you one chance to save yourselves. Leave now, and we will forget this insult. Stay, and your ships will become debris floating around this soon-to-be Vraxian world. Admiral Kim's expression remained neutral. I'm sorry you feel that way, Commander. We will defend the Nilari people, as is their right. Then you will die with them, Dorn snarled, cutting the communication. The bridge was silent for a moment. Then Lieutenant Sung spoke up from her tactical station. Sir, the Vraxian fleet is moving. They're reconfiguring into attack positions. As expected, Kim nodded. All ships, activate stealth systems. Move to position Theta. The human vessels shimmered, their outlines becoming blurry before they seemed to fade partially from view. They weren't completely invisible, but sensors would have difficulty tracking them accurately. Drone swarms prepped and ready, Admiral, reported Officer Han. Weapons systems charged and targeting solutions plotted, added Lieutenant Sung. Kim turned to Ambassador Jai. You should prepare yourself, Ambassador. What you're about to see may be unsettling. On the Vraxian command ship, High Commander Dorn watched with satisfaction as his fleet arranged itself into the feared Fang formation. Like the jaws of a predator, his ships formed two curved lines ready to close around the human fleet. The humans have disappeared from our sensors, reported his second-in-command nervously. Impossible, Dorn growled. No ship can truly become invisible. They're using some kind of stealth technology. Increase sensor sensitivity. Already done, sir. We're getting only partial readings. They appear to be moving, but we cannot determine their exact positions. Dorn's clawed hand tightened on his chair. It doesn't matter. They must come to us if they wish to protect the planet. Deploy hunter groups to find them. Prepare all weapons. Down on the planet's surface, millions of Nilari watched the skies with fear and hope. In the capital city, Elder Moon stood in the High Council chamber, surrounded by other leaders. A large display showed what their limited sensors could detect of the space battle about to unfold. The humans have come, she said, her voice full of wonder. Ambassador Jay succeeded. But they are so few, Council Member Rain observed worriedly. How can they stand against the Vraxian armada? Elder Moon touched the display, her blue fingers tracing the faint outlines of the human ships. We must have faith. The humans would not have come if they did not believe they could help us. In cities across the planet, Nilari families gathered in shelters, community centers, and homes. Many held small light crystals, traditional symbols of hope in dark times. Lynn, Jay's wife, held their daughter Sora close as they looked up at the night sky from their shelter's small window. Is father up there? Sora asked, her young eyes wide. Yes, Lynn answered softly. He brought help. The humans have come. Back in space, the human fleet had taken position around the edges of the Vraxian formation. Admiral Kim studied the enemy movements carefully. They're sending out hunter groups to find us, he observed, breaking their main formation. Good. Sir, Officer Hand reported, we're receiving a transmission from Nilari surface. It's being broadcast to all ships in orbit, including the Vraxians. Put it through, Kim ordered. The view screen showed Elder Moon, her dignified face solemn but determined. This is Elder Moon of the Nilari High Council, addressing the Vraxian fleet. We have lived in peace for thousands of years. We have never threatened any species. We ask once more for you to reconsider this attack and depart from our system. Commander Dorn's response came quickly, his voice broadcast to all ships and to the planet below. Your weakness disgusts me, Elder. The Vraxian Empire requires your world and its resources. Surrender now, and some of your people may be permitted to live as servants. Resist, and none will survive. Elder Moon's expression didn't change. Then we stand with our human allies, and we will not surrender our home. The transmission ended. Admiral Kim turned to his bridge crew. They're brave people. Let's make sure their courage is rewarded. He touched his communication panel. All ships, prepare for Phase 1. Combat drones ready for deployment on my mark. The Vraxian hunter groups moved through space, searching for the elusive human ships. Their sensors detected occasional energy signatures, but couldn't lock onto specific targets. "This is Hunter Group 7, reported a Vraxian captain to the command ship. "We've detected energy readings at coordinates 227 Mark IV, but there's nothing." His transmission suddenly cut off. Hunter Group 7, respond. Commanded Dorn's communications officer. Hunter Group 7. Silence. Hunter Group 3 also not responding. Commander, reported another officer, alarm in his voice. Dorn rose from his chair, rage building. "What is happening? Find those human ships now." On the Resolute, Admiral Kim watched as the specialized stealth teams took out the Vraxian hunter groups one by one, using targeted EMP weapons that disabled the enemy ships without destroying them. "Vraxian fleet is responding, sir," reported Lieutenant Sung. "They're pulling back their remaining hunter groups and tightening their main formation." "They're confused," Officer Han added. "Their communications show they don't understand what's happening to their scout ships." Kim nodded. "Good. Let's increase that confusion. Prepare for main engagement." He activated the fleet-wide communication. "All ships, proceed to Phase 2. Prepare for synchronized quantum jump on my mark." Throughout the human fleet, jump drive engineers calibrated their systems for the most dangerous maneuver in space warfare, jumping directly into the enemy formation. On the planet below, Lin suddenly saw flashes of light in the night sky. "Look, Mother." Sora pointed upward. "What are those lights?" "The battle has begun," Lin whispered, holding her daughter tighter. In the council chamber, the Nilari leaders watched their sensors with a mixture of hope and dread. The Vraxian ships were moving, regrouping, but the human vessels remained largely invisible to their detection systems. "What strategy are they using?" asked Council Member Rain. Elder Moon shook her head. "I don't know. But whatever it is, they've already disrupted the Vraxian attack without firing a single shot at their main fleet." In space, Admiral Kim gave his final order before the real battle began. "All ships, quantum jump coordinates locked and synchronized. Weapons systems ready." He paused, looking at the Vraxian fleet on the display. "Jump on my mark. 3, 2, 1, mark." In an instant, the entire human fleet vanished, disappearing completely from normal space. Commander Dorn stared at his tactical display in disbelief as the faint energy signatures of the human ships suddenly disappeared completely. "Where did they go?" he demanded. "Did they retreat?" His tactical officer shook his head, confusion evident. "No, Commander. They just vanished." "Impossible. Nothing can." Dorn never finished his sentence. In a moment that would be remembered throughout the galaxy for centuries to come, the human fleet reappeared, not at the edges of the battle, but directly inside the Vraxian formation, their ships suddenly materializing among the enemy vessels. The real battle was about to begin. The human ships appeared inside the Vraxian formation like ghosts becoming solid. One moment, space was filled only with Vraxian warships arranged in their battle pattern. The next moment, human vessels materialized among them, perfectly positioned. On the bridge of the Resolute, Admiral Kim remained calm as alarms blared on nearby Vraxian ships. "All vessels, execute pattern Sun Tzu. Target command ships and weapon systems only." Throughout the human fleet, targeting computers locked onto specific points on the Vraxian vessels. Not their life support systems or crew quarters, but their engines, weapons, and communication arrays. "Firing quantum disruptors," Officer Han announced. From the Resolute, beams of blue-white energy lanced out, striking a massive Vraxian battleship. The energy didn't explode or burn through the hull. Instead, it created rippling patterns across the ship's systems, disrupting the very atomic bonds that held the technology together. The Vraxian ship's lights flickered and went dark, its weapons powering down. "Launch drone swarms," Kim ordered. From the bottom of each human vessel, hundreds of small, unmanned craft poured forth like silver insects. Each one was no bigger than a human hand, but they moved with one mind, flying in complex patterns that confused Vraxian targeting systems. "The drones are overwhelming their point defense systems," Lieutenant Sun reported. 87% of targets are now exposed. The Vraxian ships began firing in all directions, their formation breaking apart in confusion. Some shots hit other Vraxian vessels as they tried desperately to target the human ships now in their midst. On the command ship, High Commander Dorn watched in horror as his carefully arranged fleet fell into chaos. "How did they do this?" he roared. "No technology allows ships to appear inside a defensive formation." "Commander, we've lost contact with 17 battleships," his second-in-command reported, fear evident in his voice. "The humans are using some kind of energy weapon that doesn't destroy but disables our systems." "Return fire. Target their flagship," Dorn ordered. Several Vraxian ships turned their weapons toward the Resolute, but the human vessel seemed to shimmer and partly vanished just as the energy beams reached it. The shots passed through the space where parts of the ship had been. "Phase shift shields functioning at full capacity," Engineer Sung reported on the Resolute. "Enemy fire is being redirected to subspace." Admiral Kim nodded and studied the tactical display. The human ships were moving in perfect coordination, each one protecting the others, each one targeting specific Vraxian vessels according to the plan. "Sir, the Vraxians are attempting to regroup," Officer Han reported. "Their western flank is trying to form a defensive sphere." "As anticipated," Kim responded. "Execute jump pattern Delta. Let's break that sphere before it forms." 5 human ships vanished again, only to reappear seconds later inside the forming Vraxian defensive sphere. The quantum disruptors fired again, and more Vraxian ships went dark. Down on the planet, the Nilari watched in amazement. What had looked like certain defeat was turning into something else entirely. The night sky flashed with weapons fire and the strange blue-white energy of the human disruptors. In the council chamber, Elder Moon and the other leaders could hardly believe what their sensors showed. "The Vraxian fleet is falling back," Council Member Rain said, wonder in his voice. "Their ships are being disabled one by one, and the humans are not destroying them," Elder Moon observed. "They are disabling the ships without killing the crews." Across the planet, Nilari families emerged from their shelters to watch the light show in the sky. Lynn and her daughter Sora stood in their garden, looking up at the flashes of light. "The stars are dancing, Mother," Sora said. "Those aren't stars, little one," Lynn replied softly. "That's your father's friends helping us." In space, the battle continued with ruthless efficiency. The human ships moved like dancers, appearing and disappearing, always striking where the Vraxians were weakest. The drone swarms had now attached themselves to dozens of Vraxian ships, their tiny mechanical bodies linking together to form networks that overrode enemy systems. Ship after ship found its weapons suddenly offline, its engines powered down. On the Vraxian command ship, panic was spreading. Officers reported failure after failure as more of their fleet became dead in space. "Commander, we've lost control of the southern quadrant," an officer reported. 89 ships are now non-responsive. "How long until our reinforcements arrive?" Dorn demanded. "At least 2 hours, Commander." Dorn slammed his fist on his control panel. "We don't have 2 hours. Launch all fighter craft. Target the human ships directly." Small Vraxian fighter ships poured out of the larger vessels, hundreds of them swarming toward the human fleet. On the Resolute, Lieutenant Sung reported the new development. "Vraxian fighters approaching, Admiral. Over 400 craft." "Deploy countermeasures," Kim ordered calmly. From the human ships, new weapons activated. Not the disruptors this time, but gravity pulse generators. Invisible waves of distorted space-time spread outward, catching the Vraxian fighters in their fields. The small ships suddenly found themselves pulled in different directions, their careful formation breaking apart as localized gravity wells tugged at them from all sides. "Fighter swarm is scattered, sir," Han reported. "They're unable to coordinate their attack." "Good. Maintain pressure on their capital ships," Kim ordered. "Target their flagship." The Resolute and 2 other human vessels turned their attention to Dorn's command ship. The massive vessel was protected by the heaviest shields in the Vraxian fleet, but those shields had never been designed to withstand quantum disruptors. "Firing main disruptor array," Officer Han announced. 3 beams of blue-white energy converged on the Vraxian flagship. Its shields glowed brightly for a moment, then flickered and failed. The disruption energy washed over the ship's systems, and one by one, they began to fail. Inside, Commander Dorn watched in disbelief as his bridge controls went dark. Emergency lights came on, casting an eerie red glow over the panicked crew. "What's happening?" he demanded. "Restore power immediately." "Cannot, Commander," his chief engineer responded. "The human weapons have disrupted our power core at the quantum level. Systems are failing across the ship. Life support still functioning on emergency power, but weapons, engines, and shields are offline." Dorn had never experienced defeat. In 20 years of leading Vraxian forces, he had conquered 17 worlds without a single loss. Now, in less than 15 minutes, his entire fleet was being systematically disabled by a handful of human ships using technology he couldn't comprehend. Back on the Resolute, Admiral Kim received the latest report from Lieutenant Sung. "Sir, 162 Vraxian vessels are now disabled. Their flagship is operating on emergency power only. 36 ships are attempting to retreat from the system." Kim nodded. "Allow the retreating ships to leave. Focus on securing the disabled vessels." He turned to Ambassador Jai, who had watched the entire battle in stunned silence. "Your world is safe, Ambassador. The Vraxian threat has been neutralized." Jay could hardly speak. "In less than 15 minutes, you defeated an armada that has conquered half our sector of the galaxy. Technology is important," Kim said quietly, "but so is how you use it. The Vraxians rely on brute force. We prefer precision." Officer Han interrupted. "Sir, we're receiving a transmission from the Vraxian flagship. Commander Dorn is requesting to speak with you." "Put him through," Kim ordered. The main screen showed Commander Dorn, his uniform disheveled, his bridge lit only by emergency lighting. "How?" the Vraxian demanded, his voice a mixture of rage and disbelief. "How did you defeat my fleet so quickly?" "Your tactics haven't changed in 17 conquests, Commander," Kim replied evenly. "You always fight the same way, against enemies who cannot match your technology. Today, you faced an enemy with technology you don't understand." Dorn's yellow eyes narrowed. "What are your terms?" "Unconditional withdrawal from Nilari space. Return of any territory you've taken from other peaceful species. A formal non-aggression treaty to be signed with representatives from all affected worlds. And if I refuse?" Kim's expression remained calm. "We are currently holding your entire fleet disabled but intact. Your crews are unharmed. That can change." For a long moment, Dorn stared at the human admiral. Then, slowly, he nodded. "I accept your terms." The battle that should have lasted days had ended in minutes. A new power had revealed itself in the galaxy, and nothing would ever be the same again. 3 days after the battle, the Nilari capital city was filled with more visitors than it had seen in centuries. Representatives from 12 different species had arrived to witness the treaty signing between the Vraxians and the coalition of worlds they had previously threatened. The Grand Hall of Unity, with its crystal dome and flowing water gardens, had been prepared for this historic occasion. Banners representing each world hung from the high ceiling, their colors creating patterns of light on the polished stone floor. Admiral Kim walked through the hall, now wearing a formal uniform instead of his battle gear. Officer Han and Lieutenant Sung accompanied him, also in their formal attire. "The hall is beautiful," Han commented, looking at the intricate architecture. "The Nilari have been building it for over 500 years, Kim replied. "Each generation adds new elements. They believe buildings should grow like living things." Ambassador Jay approached, his blue skin adorned with the formal markings of his position. He was accompanied by his wife, Lin, and their daughter, Sora, who looked up at the humans with curious eyes. "Admiral Kim," Jay said warmly, "my family wanted to meet you before the ceremony." Kim smiled and knelt down to be at eye level with the child. "Hello, Sora. Your father is a very brave man." The little girl nodded. "He went to find you when everyone was scared. Mother said you made the bad ships go away." "We helped," Kim said gently. "But it was your father who made it possible." Lin stepped forward. "Our people will remember this day for generations to come." Before this, many Nilari thought humans were just stories or dangerous beings to be feared. She touched Kim's hand briefly. "Now we know better." Across the hall, Commander Dorn stood with a small group of Vraxian officials. They looked uncomfortable, their proud postures now slightly diminished. Dorn's eyes met Kim's briefly before looking away. "He doesn't look happy to be here," observed Lieutenant Sung. "The Vraxians have never known defeat," Kim replied. "This is a new experience for them. How they respond to it will determine their future." Elder Moon approached, her ceremonial robes flowing around her slender form. "It is time, Admiral. The representatives are ready." The center of the hall had been arranged with a large circular table. Leaders from all the worlds affected by Vraxian expansion took their places. Admiral Kim represented Earth, while Commander Dorn represented the Vraxian Empire. Elder Moon sat for the Nilari. "Today we gather to establish a new peace," Elder Moon began, her voice carrying through the hall. "What happened in the skies above our world 3 days ago has changed the course of history for all our peoples. The treaty was comprehensive. The Vraxians would withdraw from all conquered territories within 60 days. They would pay reparations for damage caused and resources taken. Most importantly, they would join a new alliance of worlds, with all members pledging to respect the sovereignty of others." When it came time to sign, Commander Dorn hesitated, his clawed hand hovering over the document. "Your empire will not be destroyed," Kim said quietly to him. "This is an opportunity to join the galaxy as equals, not conquerors." Dorn looked at him with those yellow eyes. "The strong have always ruled the weak. This is the natural order." "No," Kim replied. "The truly strong protect the weak. That is the difference between power and strength." After a moment, Dorn signed the treaty. One by one, the other representatives added their signatures or mark equivalents. Later that evening, a celebration filled the city. Nilari music filled the air, its haunting melodies unlike anything the humans had heard before. Foods from a dozen worlds were shared as former enemies cautiously began to interact as potential allies. In a quiet garden away from the main celebration, Admiral Kim sat with Elder Moon and Ambassador Jai. "Your intervention has changed everything," Elder Moon said, "not just for the Nilari, but for all the peoples the Vraxians had threatened." "What happens now?" Jai asked. "Will Earth continue to be involved in galactic affairs?" Kim looked up at the night sky, where stars shone brightly. The Vraxian ships were gone, having departed that morning after the treaty signing. "I believe we will," he said thoughtfully. "For too long, humanity has kept to itself, developing our technology but not sharing our knowledge or protection. Perhaps it was fear, or perhaps we needed time to mature as a species." "Your technology is remarkable," Elder Moon observed. "The quantum displacement drives, the phase-shifted shields, these could help many worlds." "And we will share them," Kim assured her. "Not all at once, and not without safeguards, but we won't hide them anymore." In another part of the city, Officer Han and Lieutenant Sung walked through a market where Nilari artisans had set up displays of their crafts. "Look at this," Han said, picking up a small crystal sculpture that seemed to change color as he turned it. They've somehow trapped different wavelengths of light inside. A Nilari craftsman approached. It is a memory crystal. We use them to record important moments. He pointed to one section that glowed blue. This one contains images of your ships saving our world. Sung smiled. May I ask how much it costs? The craftsman shook his head. For you, there is no cost. My family would not be alive without your help. Meanwhile, in orbit around Naylor, the human fleet prepared for their journey home. Engineer Lees, supervised as Nilari technicians, were shown the basics of quantum displacement technology. This is just the beginning, she explained to the eager Nilari engineers. Your people have an intuitive understanding of crystal harmonics that could actually improve our designs. You would let us help develop your technology? Asked one surprised Nilari. Of course, Lee replied. The best advancements come from sharing knowledge, not hoarding it. Back in the capital city, as the celebration continued, a small group of children from different species played together in one of the fountains. Nilari children with their blue skin, Vraxian youngsters with their scaled bodies, and even a few human children from the fleet's families who had come down to the planet. Lin watched them with jaw. Children don't see differences the way adults do, she observed. Perhaps that's the real hope for the future, Jay replied. Not treaties or technology, but the next generation growing up together. As the night grew late, Admiral Kim found himself standing on a balcony overlooking the city. Director Park had arrived from Earth to witness the treaty signing, and she joined him now. The Council is pleased with the outcome, she said, though some members are concerned about sharing our technology so openly. They'll adjust, Kim replied. The galaxy is changing, and we need to change with it. The Vraxians won't stay peaceful forever, Park warned. Their culture is built on conquest. Then we'll be ready, Kim said simply. But cultures can change too, given time and the right influence. In the days that followed, the consequences of the battle spread through the galaxy. News traveled from world to world about how a small human fleet had defeated the mighty Vraxian armada in minutes. Some stories exaggerated the details, claiming the human ships could turn invisible or pass through solid matter. More importantly, worlds that had lived in fear of Vraxian expansion now looked to Earth as a potential ally and protector. Diplomatic requests flooded in, asking for treaties, technology sharing, and cultural exchanges. 6 months later, a new Galactic Council held its first meeting on a neutral space station built specifically for this purpose. 27 species were represented, including humans, Nilari, and even the Vraxians. Admiral Kim, now serving as Earth's ambassador to the Council, took his seat at the circular table. Today we begin a new chapter in our shared history, he said, looking around at the diverse faces. Not as conquerors and conquered, not as strong and weak, but as equals with different strengths to contribute. Far away, on the Nilari homeworld, Sora sat in her school, learning alongside children from 3 different species. Her teacher showed them a holographic display of the human fleet that had saved their world. This is why we study history, the teacher explained. So we remember how quickly things can change, and how a few brave actions can transform the future for everyone. Sora raised her hand. My father says the humans came because they believe the strong should protect others, not hurt them. The teacher smiled. Yes, and that single idea has changed everything. Who knows what our galaxy will look like in another 100 years, now that we've learned this lesson. As the children considered this question, the human ship passed through the Nilari system, one of many now traveling freely between worlds that had once been isolated from each other. The age of conquest was ending. The age of cooperation had begun.